guys, and welcome to another live broadcast with me here on Facebook. Tonight we are going to be discussing intermittent fasting for the aging woman, and do you need to follow a low carb, high fat diet in order to be successful with intermittent fasting? So if you're just jumping on or you're new to my page, my name is Diane, and I have been helping women with their health and fitness programs for the past 25 years, basically trying to find a nutritional program or a fitness program that they can fit into their lifestyle, so their lifestyle does not have to be overhauled in order to be successful with their health and fitness goals. And tonight we are going to talk specifically about intermittent fasting and what kind of nutritional protocols work best when you are intermittent fasting. And from the research that I found, the one thing that I absolutely love about intermittent fasting is the fact that you do not necessarily have to follow a very specific or regimented nutrition plan, as long as what you're doing is going to get you to your goals. So whenever a woman comes to me and asks me, do they have to eat, no carbs? Do they have to eat high fat? Or do they have to follow a paleo type of lifestyle? My next question to them is always, well, what are your goals? So if you don't have a goal of, let's say standing on stage in front of a bunch of judges in a physique contest and having your body judged by how lean you are or how toned you are, then you probably don't really necessarily need to worry too much about your macros or, if you're eating too many carbs. Your body is going to tell you, as just an everyday woman, whether your nutrition is out of balance, because you're going to feel it when you put your clothes on, and you'll notice it when you walk past a mirror. So our bodies are pretty smart about letting us know when things are out of balance. So I've found for myself personally, as a 50-year-old woman who's, battled the hormonal changes over the last couple of years and was really struggling with, that extra like 5 to 10 pounds that just suddenly appeared on my body, and the body fat that was showing up, that I do best when I follow a nutrition plan that just simply makes me happy. And that means that there are just going to be some times when I eat some things that are probably not on the favorable nutrition list, but they're good quality foods, and they are that thing that just help me live my lifestyle and don't make me feel like I have to exit out of who I am to follow a specific plan. So with that being said, there's plenty of research out there that does show the benefits of a low carb, high fat diet, but you don't necessarily have to do it so regimented that you're cutting everything out of your life that you enjoy. And if the foods that you are indulging in do not make you feel bad, so they don't throw your hormones out of whack, or they're not putting you, in a state of intolerance for anything or make you inflammatory, then I say, find a way to fit them in. Life's way too short to not enjoy those special moments that we have socially, or in a celebration, or just things that you like to do as a tradition with your family. The one true thing about intermittent fasting that makes your fasting successful is actually being in a fasted state for a period of time. And what you want to really concentrate on when you're fasting and you're trying to stay in that fasted state is just really taking in no carbohydrates and no protein for your fasted time frame. And so knowing what you're putting in your body when you're fasting is really the key to success with intermittent fasting. And when you're eating in your eating window, as long as you're eating quality food that's nutrient dense, there's only so much food you can actually consume in your eating window. And unless you're just eating, overloads of breads or overloads of carbohydrates, then you should be fine. Have a nice balanced plate of food, lots of leafy greens, lots of color on your plate, minimal protein, balance it out with some healthy fats. If you're going to choose, your carbohydrates, what you want to do is make sure that you want to pick the carbohydrates that are going to work best for you. So picking things like brown rice or sweet potatoes, I'm trying to think of what some other things. Peas are considered carbohydrates. Edamame, those kind of things are the things that are going to be the good carbohydrates that you want to put in your body. And we all just know that breads and, you know, donuts and all this snacky carbohydrates and potato chips and French fries and all those things are just those kind of calories and that nutrition that's never, you know, optimal for us if we're trying to live a healthy lifestyle and trying to maintain a certain physique. So whether you're intermittent fasting or you're not intermittent fasting, those foods are just going to do the same things to you anyway. So make sure that you are making healthy choices when you are in your eating window. But the one thing about intermittent fasting that I know I have truly enjoyed and I appreciate about intermittent fasting is that when you are eating, you do have a little bit more flexibility on not having to micromanage everything that you are putting in your body. Just make good, sound, nutritional choices that are good for you overall. And we all know what those are. So if you're feeling a little iffy about something or you're questioning whether it's something that's good for you nutritionally, then it's probably one of those things that no matter what kind of nutrition plan you're following, or if you were following some sort of specific diet, that would probably be on the do not eat list anyway. Some advice that I've heard about intermittent fasting and kind of, you know, allowing some of those, what is considered a cheat meal in your nutrition plan, is when you get your body to the point, and I say get your body to the point because I have noticed in my own personal experience that you kind of build up to longer fasting windows and shorter eating windows gradually so you don't throw your system out of whack. Is if you do have a big event, that's a social event, that it's definitely geared around food and beverage, that you would want to take advantage of a 24-hour fast. So what that would mean is that you would stop eating dinner. Let's say you had an event on a Friday night. You would stop eating dinner on Thursday night. That would be whatever time you stopped eating dinner would be when your fast would start. And you don't consume any calories, or you don't take yourself out of your fasted state until your event on Friday night. And that way what you've done is you've completely gotten rid of all of your insulin stores. You're completely burning fat all day. And then when you get to your party, you're completely open and available to take in some of those extra calories, or maybe those, you know, not so great nutritional choices that are generally at a party, or you have a couple of cocktails. You're not going to throw yourself completely out of whack, and that's not necessarily considered cheating or failing at your plan. So that, I think, is one of the things that I've most appreciated about intermittent fasting, is that flexibility that you can build in to enjoy your life, enjoy social events, and not feel like you've completely thrown yourself off whack and you've cheated. I have no idea how many carbohydrates I eat in a day. I do not count my macros. I no longer count my calories. And I also totally enjoy healthy fats whenever they're around. So I generally eat a half to a whole avocado almost every day. And if you were to look at any sort of diet plan, that would totally be over consuming healthy fats. In our house, we just don't worry about it. We are balanced in our nutrition. I generally don't eat a lot of, preservatives, or I don't eat a lot of processed carbohydrates. So I just naturally don't consume a lot of carbohydrates in my day because I just don't feel as good when I do them. But it's nothing that I'm doing in a way where I'm prohibiting them from myself. And I think making that sort of mental switch in my own head, and that's what I'm trying to teach to the women that are in my intermittent fasting group, is that, you know, don't forbid anything in your life food-wise. Allow any food into your life that makes you feel your best and get you to the point where you feel confident in your own skin. And if you're one of those lucky people that can eat, you know, a bag of potato chips every night and you feel great and you're totally healthy and it doesn't ruin your physique, I say eat your potato chips. Like, who am I to say that that's not a good thing for you? I personally can't do that because my body just doesn't process food like that very well. But it doesn't mean that I'm never going to eat potato chips again. It just means that when I do, I choose the healthiest version that I can find, and I do it in a very conscious way so that I'm not overeating things that are bad for me. So, in a nutshell, I am going to give the advice to women who are looking to do intermittent fasting and they're not doing it for physique specific reasons like a physique contest or a bodybuilding contest, but you're basically just doing it to feel better, to feel more confident in your skin, and to live a life of balance, I say don't worry about the low carb, high fat thing. I say any opportunity you have to put healthy fats into your life, we know from the studies that are out there that that's the best thing for you health-wise, and to stay away from those carbohydrates that are just junk food. And we're going to stay away from junk food anyways because we want to live a healthy life. So make good, sound, quality choices for yourself. Do you guys have any questions about anything that I just shared about low carb, high fats, or any advice you would like about possibly starting intermittent fasting? And you know, we all know, you know, what's being said about gluten. And fortunately, the whole gluten-free community is now sort of lightened up, and they're taking in extra members. I remember when gluten-free, you know, the gluten-free craze first started, it was a celiac only membership. And gluten is one of those things that for a lot of people is just it's something that our bodies just can't tolerate. I know for myself personally, just recently I've been able to kind of slide in a little extra gluten here and there. But do you find, I can't see that. Let me see if I can put my glasses on and see that. I'd like to find out more. Okay, cool. Yeah, message me, Carly, and I'll get you some stuff. Okay, so what was I saying? Oh, gluten. Okay, so gluten is one of those things that either it bothers you or it doesn't bother you. You do not have to have celiac in order to justify going gluten-free. Gluten never bothered me until about 2 years ago. Probably sooner than that, but 2 years ago was really when I really zoned in on what gluten was doing to me. And if I ate gluten on a Thursday, Friday morning, I would wake up 7 pounds heavier, and it would all be water weight. My brain would be completely foggy. I couldn't finish a task. I couldn't remember my kids' names. I mean, it was bad for me, and it literally happened overnight. So gluten is one of those things that I have to be very careful about how much I consume and when I consume it, and know that if I have pizza and a beer on a Thursday night, Friday is going to be kind of a wash day for me. I'm probably not going to get a lot done, and I'm not going to feel my best. Knowing how gluten and my body have a relationship that doesn't work so well together is a really good thing for me, because I know that going in. So if I do decide to do that on a Thursday night, I just make sure that my Friday is set up so that I can kind of have a lazy day. And if I'm going to feel bad or feel bloated, then I don't worry about it. And so I don't necessarily call myself gluten-free anymore. I basically just say I'm very conscious about what I put in my body and know how my body's going to react the next day. And that has really kind of freed me up to be a little bit more flexible about food and not feel like I'm on this do not eat list everywhere I go. And so that's what I really am going to be teaching all these women that are in my intermittent fasting group to do as well, because it's no fun to be the woman at the party who never eats anything or never drinks anything. But there are times when it's okay when you kind of just pass things up because you have something planned for the next day and you just don't have time to feel good. And gluten is definitely one of those things that does it. And since gluten is usually in high carbohydrate foods, it's really easy for me to maintain a low carbohydrate kind of diet because I just kind of steer away from those kind of foods. So, you know, just we'll figure that all out for you. And maybe you're that kind of person that gluten doesn't bother you. So, hey, you know, figure out a way to fit that in as well. But the big question is always, anytime you're doing anything nutritionally, is you first got to start out with what's your goal. So if your goal is just to feel better, then the first thing you got to do is figure out those foods that make you feel your best and don't worry about what other people are doing. If you're trying to get to a point where, let's say you're going on vacation and you just want to look slamming in your bikini and you want to cut all visible body fat, then yeah, low carb, high fat diet, watching your macros, counting your calories will be important to you because you have a very specific goal that's going to take that to get there. But if you just literally want to cut some body fat, increase your energy, not stress about food anymore, not have to worry about dieting, then I think a modified carbohydrate and a really smart high fat diet is what you want to incorporate, and that will be determined by you. We have plenty of food that can fit that for you. Okay, let me see if I can get that message again. I have to put my glasses on because it's so small I can't see anything. When you are fasting, do you consume water and do you still exercise? Okay, so yes, when you're fasting, it's not a dry fast. So when you're intermittent fasting, you can have anything that has 0 calories in it. So I often have like carbonated water, and I pick carbonated water like LaCroix or Pellegrino or something along those lines because the carbonated bubbles actually work in your favor, and the gas sort of takes up space in your stomach. So it gives you the sensation of feeling full. And LaCroix has some really amazing flavored water. So it kind of gives you that feeling like you're getting something. It makes you your palate sort of satisfied while you're in a fasted state. You can also have black coffee or coffee that's sweetened with stevia, or you can add some coconut oil. Keep in mind that carbohydrates in any form and proteins will take you out of a fasted state because they increase your insulin levels. And you're in a true fasted state when your insulin levels have dropped down and you're actually in a fat burning state. So if you were to consume something with sugar in it, you would take yourself out of a fasted state. Not knowing that, you just think, oh, I didn't eat food for 16 hours. I fasted the whole time. Why am I not losing body fat? Why am I not losing weight? Why am I not feeling any different? Because you weren't really fasting. You were kind of pseudo fasting and you didn't eat, but anything with sugar in it and anything with protein in it is going to knock you out of your fasted state and get that insulin levels back up. And you can have herbal teas. So herbal teas, black coffee or coffee with coconut oil in it, and then any kind of carbonated or flat water. And yes, it can be flavored as long as there's no calories or no sugar in it. So LaCroix, Perrier, all of those kind of flavored waters are fine. And exercise, yes, you can exercise when you're fasting. I highly recommend that if you're going to do an extended fast, so like anything at 16 hours or more, and you're just kind of jumping into fasting and you're not very experienced with it, I always say give yourself a week or two. Your body has to actually switch over sort of furnaces, so to speak. So instead of having that readily available insulin and that glucose to burn off when you're exercising, your body's going to have to actually get to that point of tapping into your body fat. And that does take about, I think it's like 5 to 7 days for that to really feel comfortable. And I know the first week I fasted, I was just spent. I didn't really have a whole lot of energy. And then once I got past that, I was fine. And then I run. So what I like to do when I'm scheduling a run for myself in the morning, and I like to run in the morning so that I can run off my eating window basically, because I eat at night and I fast during the day, is I usually make sure I do have a carbohydrate with dinner. So I'll have a sweet potato or even white potatoes or some brown rice or something, so that I have just a little bit extra carbs in my system to burn off in the morning when I'm running. If you're doing strength training, you might not necessarily need that extra little bit of energy source to burn off in the morning, but working out in a fasted state is the optimal way to work out, because again, you're going right into that body fat storage for energy. So you'll see results a lot faster. Keep in mind, if you use any kind of pre-workout drink that has sugar in it, that you run the risk of taking yourself out of that fasted state, because it will, again, spike up your insulin levels. So just play with your body and see what happens. Try working out with no pre-workout and see how your body functions that way. And if you feel like you just can't get up that energy and you can't work out as hard as you'd like to, maybe add in a pre-workout formula. Just make sure you read the label, you know what's in it, and then test it that way too. And I always say give a test a week and see what your results are. And if you're not getting the results you want, then just switch things up. Any other questions? That was a good question about the exercise. Okay. For me, my week almost, let's see, what did you say? How long into intermittent fasting when the feeling starts to pass? Okay, so I think I sort of answered that, Kay. I felt the same way when I first started intermittent fasting, and I didn't really know how to plan out my food, and I didn't know how to eat the night before. There were a couple of days where I was completely wiped out, and I would literally go from like getting the kids off to school to back on the couch. So your body does have to do that switch over, and it has to learn how to trust to tap into your fat stores to burn energy. And so that does take a couple of days of, you know, kind of getting your body in that system. And I know for Michael and I, we generally don't fast on Saturday and Sunday. So Monday's a really hard day for us because we have to get back into that fasting cycle. And then, you know, by Wednesday or Thursday, we're usually fine. And I can usually extend my fasting window all the way up to like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, you know, kind of keep that in mind too. The cool thing about intermittent fasting, and this will be my last point and then I got to jump off, is that you can't fail at intermittent fasting unless you're just thinking that you're fasting and you're not, because you're adding in sugar or proteins in the middle of your day and you're just skipping food. So you got to skip all calories during that fasting time frame. So you can't fail at it. So let's say Wednesday is the only day you can fast. Perfect. Then Wednesday's your fasting day and the rest of the days you just manage as a normal non-fasting person. That's fine, because what we really want to do is just make sure we're getting good solid nutrition in. So if you're fasting 1 day a week, you're way better off than if you didn't fast at all. So intermittent fasting is really one of those things that you can design for you and your lifestyle. It does not have to be anything that's cookie cuttered toward anyone else or anybody else's lifestyle. You design what works for you. And if, let's say, Monday's a bad day for you to fast because you have a million things to do and you need your energy and you just can't get through the day without your food, don't fast on Monday, fast on Tuesday. And that's all that stuff, Kay, that we will work out and design through in our group together based on what your lifestyle is and how you're feeling. So if there's no more questions, I am going to pop off and go join my husband on the couch for a little bit of television. Definitely feel free to leave some questions in the comments if you have some questions that you're thinking of, maybe after we jump off here or maybe later tomorrow. I always go back and review the questions and I can get them answered for you. And if you would like more information about joining my intermittent fasting group, I will post a link in the comment section as well. Go ahead and click on that and then I can get you some more information about that. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. You guys, I always appreciate you being here and I appreciate your comments and questions. And like I said, I'll leave that link if you're looking for more information. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow night.